G'day, Bomber here, and we're at Extreme Marine in Echuca, where over the past few weeks we've been putting together this awesome little Horizon Tinny for a huge trip we're about to undertake. We'll just go over a few of the features of what we've done to make this vessel what it is. So we'll start at the back. We've powered it with the new Mercury 30 4-stroke electric start, and it's also got the vessel view, which is a cool feature which we'll go over a little bit as we go through, and I'll show you a couple of things with that. As we come up into the boat, we've got a couple of batteries on board. I've gone NS70 battery, which is a bit of overkill really for the size of this vessel, but because of the electronics that we do run on the boat, we've got a big sounder, and there's also the potential to put other electronics on. We can easily crank this little motor over with no drama at all, but with an 18 amp output, that's going to be brilliant for what we've got there. Next to that, we've got a 100 amp hour 12 volt lithium BLA battery, which is brilliant. And with the app, with the BLA lithium battery app, what you can do is you can check out exactly how much power you've got left, and that's hooked up to the 12 volt 55 pounder up the front with the Anderson plugs, which we've gone with up there, which I'll show you in a second when we get closer to the front of the boat. We've got a bilge pump in the bottom, 25 litre fuel tank over the back. To cover all that up, I've actually used, and this is like, I wouldn't say it's really heavy, but I wouldn't say it's super light. It's just some aluminium plate, and I am just gonna rub that over the top of that there. And then I've even just gone to the extent of putting a tap into that to hold the flooring together to make the really cool casting deck. And with the casting deck at the back, we've got the Yeti gallon jug, which will fit snug in its little spot just in there. Now this flooring is from former sign in Victoria. Down in Melbourne, we got that stuff sent up, and I was able just to cut it in to suit exactly around the back of the boat, keeps it nice and smooth and flush, and it's not really a porous material. I do wear shoes when I'm in the boat, so it's actually quite durable, and it's not super expensive either. And I was able to cut all this myself just to put it in. With the seat, I've just gone with a little fold down seat. This is quite a comfortable one, and just with a little plastic clip there, so that's easily movable, and then just pop it in like that, and that's just positioned here. Little feature here with the Merc, so we can electric trim, just trim that up. Now if we trim it down, we've got this, the tiller steer is adjustable to an offset, so you can undo this bolt just here and then simply adjust it so we're not actually dead in line. So if I like to drive on this side of the vessel like that, I can easily push that out to the side and then come back around in and swing all the way the other way while I'm driving if we do need to make a major maneuver like that, and I can lock that in. But this is all adjustable. There's so many features just to make it ergonomically really good for the driver, which I really like. And it's got the adjustable knob to hold the throttle in place. The trim is really super handy, and a little tinny like this is really, really good. So, and like I mentioned before, I've got the vessel view added, which I'll pop the cowl off just quickly so I can show you, and it's quite a simple little adaptation that you can run in the Merc, just here on the side. Now, having the vessel view makes it really handy if you've got when you put the app to that, so that we can actually track what the motor is doing, how many RPMs, the fuel that we've used, the speed. If you get an alarm that comes up or you don't know what the engine's doing, then the thing is, on the vessel view, you can actually just check that out and see what's actually gone wrong, because it could just be a bit of weed, overheated, anything like that. Also, you can link it up to the dealer of your choice. So the thing is, they know exactly how many hours you've done when you're ready for another service and stuff like that. So all that data is kept through the vessel view back to the mobile app, which is a really cool feature, especially for a small tinny like this. As we come around to the front part of the tinny here, we've got little isolation switch on the side. And what I've done is I've just put this little board together to make it real easy for all the electronics. Now with the wider side on the Horizon Tinny, that's sort of protected a lot of the time. So I can simply just fold that back, and underneath in here, we've got a fuse panel, and we've even gone to the extent of using Deutsch plugs in here to make it all really neat and tidy. And then obviously all the charging points that we've got in here. I've left extra points here. Mishka loves the cameraman. Then what we can do is with the extra switches that we've still got here, I can actually add things in later quite easily and comfortably. One of the cool features is the Scanstrut, and I've always been a massive fan of these because it's not only a great spot just to store your phone, it also charges your phone as well. So that's an absolute ripper. When you're using the vessel view, it's like I had this out in a test run last night, and I could run the vessel view the whole time, and it kept the power going to it continually, so I could actually see what exactly the engine was doing, the RPMs, the amount of fuel that was being used while we were traveling along, and I could easily just see that from the tiller as I was traveling up the river. So that's a really cool feature. Next to that, I've got the ROK Charger. Now the ROK Charger, it's a matter of just simply opening that up, and up underneath here, and it's all waterproof, are 2 USB ports, and everyone needs to run little different electronic items because we don't have a radio on the boat at the moment, so we'll use a little boom box, and that can easily be charged onto that GoPro, any other chargers, other people's phones, iPads, whatever you want. There's 2 USB ports there, and with the big battery, we can easily look after that all the way through. I've got a bilge pump hooked up there, which I've also got onto an auto as well in case it's out at anchor at, overnight and we're camped up. But I've also got the cockpit lights. I've got purple lights that run all the way around underneath, which you might see that have flicked on, which look pretty cool. Now the other items I've just got vacant at the moment, but it's got the capacity for in the future if I want to put something in, it's easy to do it. Along with the fuse panel at the back, there's a few other options which I can put other lights on or other electronic features if you want. So leaving that capacity, I think, is actually handy when you're going to set up the Tinny, because you never know what's going to change as you go on. We're running a Humminbird SOLIX 10, which I've always sort of used, so I find that really handy to use. And that's on a ram mount, so that's going to be really convenient and easy just to swing around to the front of the boat like that, so that I can actually then, whilst using the electric motor, I can then view that from the front of the vessel as well. And just using different products that they're out there to run the cables over. This will be temporarily taken off while we're transiting in between when we're traveling and under tow, so that'll just unbolt and come off really simply and easily. There's a couple of good side pockets on the side, and I've just put the measuring stickers there in case you want to get a rough gauge on how big a fish is. Got the snap lock rod holders, which just simply bolt on before you make any commitments to where you want rod holders throughout the vessel. Obviously have the Yeti 45 Tundra on board. Underneath in here is the hatch. So I've got a lot of fish, different types of fish in here, and there's plenty of room inside here for all sorts of items to go into there to cater for every type of fishing that we'll do over the coming months. I'll also just pull out, I've also got a little fold out solar panel, which I'll show you in a second. That's inside there. Now just even for locking it up, just simply made a little bracket which will go down, and then that padlock goes over the top to make sure all your belongings are secure if you are leaving the vessel tied up overnight or anything like that, and you're a bit concerned about that, to keep most of the thieves out. Pop that net out of the way as we come up to the front of the boat. The little hatch here at the front, there's an anchor well. I probably won't be using the anchor that much because I've got an electric, and I'll probably use that more often than not. That's just a matter of, I made a little lid to go on top of that, and I've just got some bags in there that have got safety gear, fire extinguisher, anchor, just all of the safety equipment that you need, just all secured in the front of the boat. We just had a wash down, so that's why it's a little bit damp there at the moment. And that's got a bung that goes out the bottom as well. So having all that, just having all the safety equipment in one spot. The fire extinguisher is also bolted in the front, because if there is a fire, it's more than likely going to be at the back, and prefer to be fighting it from the front than at the back of the vessel. A couple of extra life jackets, along with a couple more life jackets that are under there. That just simply pops down. At the moment, I've just used some of the flooring I've used off the bottom just to fill in that little bit at the front, and I'll get that sort of stenciled out a bit later. And that's just flush mounted with a little couple of clips there to hold it in position. Obviously, the Minn Kota speaks for itself. I think it's a game changer. You can never go back after you've had it. I put a stabilizing bar in the front, so that goes into that. I've got the foot control pedal, so we'll be using that here while we're fishing up and down creeks, rivers and lakes. Simply undoing the Anderson plug, which we've gone with here, I can then utilize the solar panel here, which has an Anderson plug which can lay in, so if we're at camp, you can just even lay that out on the boat and it doesn't take much to charge. Over the very, very front, if you duck around this side, you can see we've gone for a really long drawbar, and you can see there we've got the RV, Mishka. Now, that extra long drawbar is really handy if you're at a shallow boat ramp or you're trying to keep away from the salt water, and also because of the toolbox on the back of the RV, it's quite handy as well if you've got to maneuver around. So the extra long drawbar I think is really handy when you've got a little tinny, because you want to get to those little spots that not the big boats can get to, so sometimes you have to make a compromise with that. All in all, pretty stoked with how we've sort of come up and got all the tinny together. We'll see how it goes over the coming 12 months, and yeah, if you've got any questions, queries, don't be afraid to send them through and we'll go and get on the water. I know Mishka's keen to. Go and catch a few fish. The only thing I will say is last night we did take it for a run up the river. We were hitting about 19 knots with 2 of us on board at about 6,000 RPM, so we revved it out pretty easily. And the economy, even though we only did a short run, we only used about 3 or 4 litres of fuel, but I mean, we didn't go a long way, I have to admit, but it seems really economical so far, and I'm pretty happy with it, and we'll see how it goes over the coming 12 months, and we'll keep you posted.